So, hello, I'm Mikko Penttilä, and I'm going to talk about like ergonomics, so your posture. Why? Because I use these things called split keyboards. So basically keyboards that split in two halves like this. I'll take the blur off and show that a little later better. And every now and then when I'm at work or someone visits me and sees a split keyboard, they are like, "Oh, what's that? Why do you have two keyboards? Or why do you use that?" and so on. And yeah, I'm basically gonna answer that questions. Why do I use them, and what are they good for? And I'll start by telling a little bit of a story about the reason why. How did I end up like using split keyboards? I'm a nerd through and through. I've been a nerd ever since I was a kid. I got my first computer somewhere around mid-90s, maybe something like 93, 95. It was a Commodore 64. So basically one of the early home computers that was built into a keyboard. And because I was a child back then, I think somewhere around 6 years old, something like that. And at home, we didn't have a desk where that computer would sit. So what I had to do when I wanted to play with it, what I had to do is I had to take it from the drawer and put it on the floor, put the CRT monitor on the floor, put the cassette deck on the floor, and of course I was sitting on the floor as well, in like back curled, shoulders inwards, very, very bad posture. But hey, as a child, who cares about posture as long as you're having fun? I think that might be a relatable thing to like something relatable to everyone. Anyways, fast forward a little bit. I started going to school. I got my own desk because, of course, I needed a desk to do my homework on. And then I got my own computer, like a more modern PC, and that I could set up on the on my desk for like kind of like more permanent sitting position. I got a chair. Actually, the funny thing is that the chair that I'm sitting right now is the exact same chair from like 30 years ago. It's a really good chair. So, but still, my posture was really bad. I had one of those really like basic keyboards there, a basic mouse. Still, my back was curled. My shoulders were tucked in. And my wrists were like all sorts of wonky when typing. That's kind of what happens when you type on a normal keyboard, and if you don't think about your posture. Okay, let's fast forward a lot, like 20 years or so. Around my mid-20s, I had gotten a job, an office job, where I used the computer not only for my hobby, not only at home, but also at work. Full work days on the computer, still the same bad posture. And like when I got home, still the same thing, sitting in front of my computer and a bad posture. Of course, I did some other stuff as well. I do have other hobbies than just playing video games or programming nowadays. But hey, computers have been a hobby of mine ever since I was a child, and I've been sitting in the same bad position like 20 years by this point. I had already developed a lot of like shoulder pains. Like they had been going on already like years. And I had to like go to a massage every now and then to kind of like alleviate the pain a bit. so that I could continue doing what I do. But of course, that wasn't the solution. That was just a treatment to the problem itself. Then a bit like earlier, let's say before this point, maybe a year before, I had already started developing like wrist pains and forearm pains, pain like around my wrist area and in the forearm. And one day, when I was at work, I started noticing that my typing speed was going down. And it was going down so fast that by the time I noticed it, maybe 20 minutes after that, my fingers didn't move at all anymore. And I couldn't type anymore. So, of course, I get a little scared. What's going on? This is like, I don't feel any unnatural pain, no pain that would like be any different from any previous pain I had in my wrists or in my shoulders. But okay, I book an appointment to a physiotherapist who tells me, or well, starts asking me questions. Do I use a normal keyboard? Yes, I do. Do I have these like this? What are these? Those little flip feet back from the keyboard. Like so, when you have your keyboard like this, you might have little feet back there to make it kind of a bit angled like this. Do I use those? Yeah, I do. And then he starts talking. Okay, well, that's the problem number one. Because when you have your keyboard back, the back of the keyboard raised, what your wrists do is like this. So they're at an angle. And that's not good. Your wrist should be straight. The other thing is that when you type on a normal keyboard, it promotes another type of angle, which is like an angle, this way, so that your wrist has this angle as well. So now you have actually two different angles, the upwards angle and the vertical angle, which are both bad for your wrists. There's mentioned in the chat carpal tunnel syndrome. To be honest, I don't remember what the diagnosis was because I didn't really care about the diagnosis. I cared more about how to fix the problem. It was either carpal tunnel syndrome or something similar. And well, I got a couple of days of sick leave because I couldn't type, and well, the doctor thought that it would be a good idea to not type for a couple of days. And the other thing that he told me was to get an ergonomic keyboard, and I have it right here. It's this one. It's a Microsoft Sculpt ergonomic. So as you can see, not quite a normal keyboard. It has this little like split here. This is not yet a split keyboard, but it's a bit more ergonomic than regular keyboards would be. The other thing, what this kind of like does is that the keys here are at a slight angle like this. They make this sort of a V shape. And if you try it on your desk, put your hands like in a V shape, kind of like, or from your perspective, it would be A shape actually. You might notice that you can actually eliminate this sideways angle totally with that. The other thing that this keyboard has, it has a plastic part here that instead of like being flat on the table, it raises it a bit like this. So when you have your desk at a normal height, it helps you keep your wrist straight again. So no more this, but do this. Okay, a couple of days of sick leave. I think it took like a week or maybe 2 weeks to learn to type with a keyboard like this. There are a couple things that kind of like might make it a bit difficult, because it's really common for people who don't like really learn touch typing. It's really common that either you press N or Y with your right hand. You should press them, with your left hand. You should press them with your right hand, or E or B with your right hand. So kind of like these two keys are very common to be used with the wrong finger. So that's one thing that I had to unlearn when I started using this. But it wasn't that difficult. Took me a couple of weeks. But the great thing was that this really like helped me. It didn't like stop me from having my shoulder pains, and it didn't help me with my back posture, but it helped me with my immediate problem, which was my wrists. The problem was that my wrists were so like clogged up. That's why when I tried to move a finger, it just didn't move. It just didn't do anything. So this helped with that. But of course, I'm also I'm a nerd. I'm easy to I like getting into the deep end of all these tech stuff. I used this Microsoft keyboard for like, I don't even remember, maybe somewhere between 5 and 10 years, something like that. But I never liked these keys up here. These are the F keys. So F1 through F11 and print screen and all those. These are really small and they're very clicky. I didn't like how they sound and how they feel. They were difficult to press. So I wanted to find a better one. I already knew about mechanical keyboards. So I started searching for mechanical ergonomic keyboards, kind of like just a one-to-one copy of the Microsoft keyboard that I had used, but with mechanical switches that would like sound really good and feel really good to use. Well, I did find a couple options, but the other thing that I found was split keyboards. Well, this is not the first split keyboard I have, but this is the same model, basically. I think actually Juho probably might still have my first mechanical split keyboard that I ever bought for myself. But anyways, my idea here was that, okay, I'll get a keyboard that looks normal, relatively normal at least, that I can split if I want to, but I can also use it kind of like a normal keyboard. The only difference here compared to a normal keyboard is that the spacebar is split into 4 buttons. And then there are 4 extra buttons down here. Otherwise, just a normal keyboard layout, 60%, I think it's called. Well, why did I go with split keyboards? Because I did find solutions that were more closer to what I was already used to. Well, I learned that there's one more ergonomic thing that is related to your wrists. Or sorry, not your wrists, but your shoulders. Of course, we all know, at least I hope we all know, that when you sit in front of your computer, you should have your shoulders back here. So you should sit straight with your back straight, shoulders back, and that should be kind of like your default position. Of course, you need to move around if you sit for long periods, but I'm not a physiotherapist or anything, so I won't go into that. But when you have this kind of like a unibody keyboard, keyboard layout, your hands tend to be pretty close together, and that promotes you can curl your shoulders back, and you can sit straight even with a normal when using a normal keyboard, but the keyboard doesn't help you with it. It doesn't promote sitting in the correct position. So split keyboards are what help with that. You can split this keyboard apart like this, and you can put them anywhere, as like far as you want. You can imagine if you try out in front of your computer, you can imagine like putting your arms on your desk and like doing a bit of rolling motion with your shoulders to your back and see where your arms would naturally be. They would be, for me, it would be something like this. If you use a normal keyboard, it promotes like something like this. So that's why split keyboards are even better for your ergonomics than just these ergonomic keyboards that you can find probably from Verkkokauppa or Gigantti or something like that, or whatever tech store you prefer. But yeah, that's why I started using split keyboards. I also do some have some other stuff. For example, I don't have the keyboard flat on my desk. I have it at a slight angle like this. It's called tenting. And when you have your wrist like straight, like this flat, there are two bones here that start to kind of like go a bit like this. They almost cross each other, and that's also not good. So that little bit of a tenting angle here like this helps with that. A natural position for your arm, it depends on the person, but usually it's something like between 30 and 60 degrees. So yeah, that's why really good split keyboard should also have a tenting system that allows you to put it in an angle here. And yep, there's a mention in chat that if you can have a coffee in between. Yeah, I've done it many times. Also, not only coffee, but also smoothies and other stuff. Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not only once, not even twice that I have spilled a mug full of smoothie or whatever on top of my keyboard, and then it's all like take it apart and clean it up. That's not fun. But yeah, you learn. Do that mistake a couple of times, and you learn. You learn where to put your cup of coffee so that it's not in your keyboard is not in the danger zone. But yeah, because of this, I don't have any wrist pains anymore when I type on my keyboard. My shoulder and back pains they have not gone worse. I still have them because even though a keyboard helps you with your posture, you still have to work to keep it. It's not very easy when you have been sitting in a bad position, like had a bad posture for 20 years. It's not so easy to kind of like unlearn that thing, especially if you're not actively trying to. And I still, oftentimes I lapse to the bad position with my back. But hey, at least the keyboard is not the reason anymore, and at least my keyboard tries to actively help me not do that. And yeah, there are a lot of things like most of these split keyboards you can find, they are programmable. You can do a lot of small things, small tweaks that technically help with ergonomics. Kind of use your pinky finger less because that's your weakest finger, at least, most likely, and use more of your thumb. Why split keyboards often, and actually I think many even unibody keyboards nowadays split the spacebar into two, because you have two thumb keys, and on a normal keyboard, these two thumb keys are both responsible for the same key, which is the spacebar. Doesn't make any sense. A thumb is a really good finger that you can use on the keyboard, and you could do a lot more with it. So that's why this has like these 4 thumb keys per side. So in total 8 instead of just 1. But in all honesty, I could talk about the ergonomics of using like alternative keyboard layouts and using macros to do repetitive stuff and things like that. But I feel that those are very, very small things. They don't add to the ergonomics as much as just having a keyboard that actively helps you with your posture, with how you sit in front of the device that you most likely sit like hours, probably every day. At least I do. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, unless you want to see my macros and how I've set up the keyboard. But hey, that's up to you to decide if you want to see it. But yeah, that's my talk. I think a bit under 30 minutes. That's good. Any questions here? Let's see. Let's start from the top. Yeah. Jean-Claude Van Damme pictures. That would be great. Any learning curve with these? How about gaming? Many games might require buttons that are on the right split, which are inaccessible while using a mouse. To be honest, like with this keyboard, this specific model, because you can use it like just a regular keyboard. There is not much learning curve with this. Only if you want to, you can learn new bindings for all these. You can totally game with this so that your mouse is here on the right side, and that would be like totally fine. When I game, I don't use the right side at all. I use basically only the left side, and I use the thumb keys, and I rebind some of these keys so that the game bindings would all be on the left side of the keyboard. So you can do it with this. A lot easier than to use a split keyboard than it sounds, in my opinion. Have recommendations for model maker of split keyboard? There are like so many. Yeah, there are so many nowadays. Yeah. And have you used those where the keys are uniform, not in a typewriter QWERTY style? Yep. I actually normally I don't use this keyboard. Well, I actually have one in front of my desktop computer, so I seem to use it. I prefer like Digma keyboards. They are really good. They're pretty expensive, like starting from I think 300 euros per keyboard. And this one is a Digma keyboard. And just a moment. I plan on showing this, but this is the other style they sell, where this is called columnar stagger. So instead of staggering the rows like on a typical keyboard, like from the typewriter era, it staggers columns. The idea here is that your pinky finger, it's kind of hard to show, but your pinky finger, because it's usually shorter than the pinky column, is shifted downwards. I don't think it makes much of an ergonomic difference. It's more enjoyable to use one of these, but from the perspective of ergonomics, the difference is kind of small, in my opinion. There are also DIY keyboards. So I think Iris, Keep.io, I think, is one of the companies that make DIY solutions for these. And of course, because you have to build the keyboard yourself, you have to provide your own switches, you have to do some soldering and flashing the keyboard and stuff like that. They are usually cheaper, starting from like, I don't know, 60 euros up to like maybe 100 euros. And of course, north of that. How would you recommend to fight this? Yeah. Yeah. I have an opinion on that. I kind of hinted at it a moment ago. Like the picture is about like person sitting all wonky in their chair with the legs up and so on. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Remember that your natural, like your standard position should be with your back straight, with your elbows back, chest open so you can breathe freely, with your wrists like straight without any angles. But that's just the standard position. Move around. If it feels comfortable for you to raise your legs on the table for a while, do it. It doesn't hurt. It's actually better for your body because you're moving, you're switching your position. It's not good for you to like sit on the exact same position all day. Have you considered of getting rid of that chair also? No, I haven't. Adjustable table. So basically I guess the idea would be a standing desk or maybe some of these saddle chairs. Yeah, I don't like those. I just don't. So. Yeah, but I think that's all the questions in the chat. Anyone want to open their mic?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mikko. I'll show the actual best keyboard ever. And it's this one. It's sadly missing a button over there, but this is the thing. This is how I learned to write with computer.
I didn't. The picture is quite small, but is that in 120? What is 128 or 64?
This is the newer 64 model.
Okay, yeah, because that's the exact color.
Not the old red box, but yeah, it looks like 128, but it's the C64.
Yeah.
C, is it C64? C, maybe the name.
Yeah, C64. Commodore 64.
Yeah. Love it.
Unfortunately, I still have that one as well. Well, it's at my parents' house, but unfortunately, the cassette deck isn't working anymore. I've been meaning to fix it for many, many years, but never got around to do it.
Anybody has any questions for Mikko about work ergonomics? You can open your mic, open your camera. And I'll put this link here for those who like to reminiscent with Commodore 64. Use the bare metal emulator for C64 fits on your Raspberry Pi. I have that, and I bought a USB like old style joystick for it, and tried to play Paperboy, and I'm too accustomed to the modern games now, and Paperboy I died like in a minute. It's very, old games are very hard.
Yeah, and no save points.
Yeah.
Once you run out of life, you start from the beginning.
Yeah, I wish I was a little kid again who can sit in front of TV, so the TV is right here and the joystick's in your hand and you're crouching like a panda eating a bamboo in front of the TV. But nowadays, when try to program something, the poster is kind of the same, panda eating bamboo, and the pain is like Hellraiser opening the box. The puzzle box, yeah. So if there's no questions, thank you, Mikko Penttilä.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. And again, thanks for Mikko for the previous presentation. So I don't have a great structure here, but at least I know to start with presenting myself. So my name is Eetu, and I'm Juho's little brother. I started in the IT field, or the studies in the IT field in 2020, and now I have about 5 years of work experience. I started in SAMK as a project researcher, and I was there for a year. Then I was in a company based in Pori for maybe half a year, and then I went to Vincit to be a consultant, where I've been 3.5 years now. I've been only in one project there, where I've been doing backend Java stuff mostly. Our customer is large business-to-business pharmaceutical wholesale or wholesaler. How do you say that? No. But anyways, what's happening with my computer? Anyways, but yeah, I'm basically the lead backend developer currently in my project. So I do mostly backend, but hobby project I try to branch out and try different things and keep my repertoire varying. But yeah, to the actual talk or whatever it is, I showed Juho a project of mine, and he asked me to present it here. And I was thinking about I can show it, and if I have any what's a punainen lanka in English, any key points in the talk as well. So I thought I would talk about also maybe like hobby project very briefly in general, and maybe the importance of them, because I know we have many students here, and I think they can help with your personal growth and also your career growth if you do it or do them. But I will try to. I have this OBS setup, and I hope I can show something. Okay, here's something from Visual Studio Code. This is a very brief MD file I just wrote, almost just to remember myself. But basically, this is the boring beginning, but maybe just some thoughts about why to build stuff overall in our field. So I'm probably preaching to the choir here, or hopefully I am, and you all are doing hobby projects. But there are several things that, at least for me, motivate to do them. So one thing is they're fun and interesting thing to do. So you get an idea and you need to think how to solve it. You have a problem and you need to solve it. So it's always fun. But that's only one aspect why to build something. So one great motivator for me with what was also the motivation for this particular tool that I will demo was that I have a problem and I need to solve it. And I think that's a great thing to do in our field, because we can build things for ourselves. Almost kind of like 3D printing or woodworking or something like that. It's a great feeling when you can solve a problem with your own hands. or with your own code. And especially for all stages in your career, but especially at student stage, it's a great way to learn, have some personal growth, and learn different things. And it's almost like necessary, I think, especially. Well, yeah, I think it's a great thing to do if you have the energy and resources for it to do any projects. You don't have to do them all the time, but at least sometimes. And I think that all of that also ties into career growth. So especially at the start and in this market, it's very hard to get junior positions. So one way to try to help with that is building a portfolio that you can show off, because you have nothing concrete to show to the possible employers. So portfolio is something you can show. I built this thing or these things, and you can maybe stand out from the rest of the applicants, which are plenty these days. But yeah, I guess there are also other motivations, like some people build for money and stuff like that, but I at least haven't ever gotten there, so I don't list it. But yeah, I think the more boxes you tick here, like the possible causes to build something, the more likely you are finished the project, because I think we all have projects in our closet that we have ideas or maybe half-baked ideas or something we've even started to build but never actually finished or released anything. So I think the release is it's like a great landmark or post goal to reach, that you actually release something to the internet and maybe even someone sees and uses. Like if even one person uses something you built, it's a great feeling, because now it's not only you, but someone else as well is enjoying what you built. But yeah, that's the premises or my TED talk. Welcome, thanks for coming to my TED talk. But now I will demo the actual tool that I built. But actually I need to boot up something, because this is a game-related tool and the game just crashed on the background, so I need to boot it up. So just a second. While we wait for it, I will check the chat. Yes, that is a great way. Yes, truly. And I'm not gonna touch on language models so much on this, because you can build so fast, but when we talk about learning, they can greatly help, but they can also greatly reduce the helping or learning, I mean. But that's one subject to also talk about if someone ever wants to talk about it, that how do you still keep learning while using these tools. Or I guess Postari touched on the subject last time we had this event. But all right, my game is now started, and now I try to switch the scene. Okay. So the game is Ark Raiders. We don't need to know that much about it. Some of you know, some of you don't. It's an extraction shooter. But the thing about extraction shooters is that there are a lot of items in the game. There are loot. There are hundreds of items in the game, and the game actually doesn't tell you so much what items are, or it tells you a bit what items are valuable and stuff like that, but they don't tell you if you need them for some upgrades or some quests later on. So basically, either you just randomly try to guess if you keep something, or you keep checking some wiki page for items. Do I need to keep this? Do I need to keep this? And so forth. So, and that's especially true when you're starting to play this game. You learn them, of course, at some point, but at the start it's pretty hard and somewhat overwhelming. So here's an inventory, but basically there's lots of items, and you have these tooltips you can see, and they tell some information. I'm not sure if you can read this, but it's not that relevant. But yeah, that was the problem and the motivation. And so basically, how do we get some live data while I'm playing the game to tell me what to do with these items or give me some information to do some information-based decisions with these items. So the idea I have had, was to build a tool for this, obviously, because that's the topic. So I will try to change the scene again. Was it this? Oh yeah. Actually, let's start with this. Yeah. So the tool I built, well, it's called ArcLens, and I hope you can guys see something. When we tested this with Juho, he said it was a bit blurry, but we will try to manage. So basically, the idea was, or the idea is pretty simple. There's two problems. So how do you get the information to some application that what item you are looking at? That's problem one. And the problem two is when you get the information that what item you're looking at, how do you provide some information on that item and maybe suggest some possible decisions what to do with it. So actually the idea for the first problem, how to get the data from the game to this browser was, or this application was pretty fast. I came up with it, but some games have some APIs you can use. But actually I learned later on that ArcRadius might have some hidden API, but I didn't know about it at the time. But the solution I came up with was to use the screen share mechanic on the browser. So basically, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. It seems not when I'm looking at my own share, but anyways, there's this start button on the left top corner of the screen. And I can click there, and it pops up the normal share some window or application or screen pop up there. So I can select that I will screen share ArcRadius game to this application. So I will do it now. You cannot see it because the share is kind of weird, but now it's sharing and it says stop on the left screen and stuff like that. It says waiting for item. So if we go to this view, nope, this view, yep, we can see something here at least. So I have a split screen now split screen set up in OBS that you can see both the tool and the game. So when in the game you highlight something, you get this little tooltip or pop-up that says the item's name and some data on it. So basically the tool now does this. It has the share screen functionality or uses it, and it gets the image data. And basically we just analyze the image data to know what item we have and do some business logic with that data. So it's pretty fast if I move my mouse. I think you can see the game mouse at least. So we move it, it reacts pretty fast. So then we can go, I think I should have some, yeah, maybe for example, this leaper pulse unit. So this is needed in several places in the game. So you need it for quests, you need it for a bench upgrade, and you need it for a thing called project. So the application now tells you that you need to give 15 of these overall unit for the things I mentioned, and it also shows you some things about what it recycles to, and now you can see the cursor. What the heck? But yeah, shows you some things you can recycle to and stuff like that, because that's important too. Basically, I guess we can look the debug screen now. So if we have only the application here, if we talk about how the tool actually does what it does, there's a nice debug screen here, and I'm sure it doesn't translate very well to you because it's kind of small for you, I guess. But on the left side, we see the image that the tool is getting from the game. And then there are some different debug screens that what we are doing with the actual screen. So basically, if we go to some other tab than an inventory tab, we can see this menu header debug screen here. It's a second from left. So this one tries to check if we are in an inventory. It does that because we want to do some cheat check to see if we are in inventory, and if we are not, we do not do the rest of the checks, just to keep the performance cost a bit lower. So here now we don't see it because we are in a different tab, but now if we go to inventory, it even goes green, the debug box. So now it knows we are in inventory. And then we have some the next one, the middle one, the item OCR. OCR, by the way, stands for optical character recognition. So basically, it's a different ways to for the computer to try to read text from visuals or from an image, basically. So in the middle box, you can see we have some tight croppings on the actual title of the item. It's from the toolbox. We crop the part where the title lives, and then we use OCR to read it. And we can talk about the technology behind it later on. But yeah, we use OCR and we read the item name, and then we match it to a certain dataset. And there are some other debug screens too. Actually, I didn't even show this feature. Let's actually go back a bit then. on the tools right side, where my camera is slightly over the feature, there's this quest helper tool as well. So it shows the tabs of different quests you have, and my camera does really block it. But yeah, there are 4 quests currently, and they have some objectives there. You can see the rewards for them, and you can see also the map where the quests are at. Some are in many maps, and there are some certain places in the maps where you can do them. Some have several, some are very specific. But yeah, basically I can click some key point on this UI, and it will move the camera to it. It's not anything crazy, but yeah, you can use it as a tool to go or to do your quests. I haven't used it actually a lot. It's a new feature, and I haven't played the game that much lately, but yeah, that exists. But yeah, the OCR thing related to quests is pretty cool as well. So if I now take off all the quests we have from this configuration, what you call it, side panel, which you can toggle on. We have no quest selected now, and if we look at the debug screen, we have these 3 debug screens on the right side, which are related to quest detection. So when we are on the main page, what you call it, main view of the game in the lobby, you can see the quests on the right side. I can change the camera for a bit now if I can get it. Yeah. So on the left side of the screen, you can see the quests. So we do the same trick here. Basically, we first on the leftmost of these last boxes, we try to check if we are in the main menu. So for example, if we are in the workshop, we are still in the main menu. So this box remains green. So it sees this little rainbow here on the top left corner of the game. So basically right on the top left, there's this rainbow thingy. So we use that for the OCR to see if you're in the main menu. Again, it's a cheap check to do, so we don't do the more expensive checks later on. So if you're in the main menu, then we try to find this large play button. Again, let's switch screens. So there's this large play button on the right side. It's a nice feature. It's very uniformly colored. It's on the same spot, so we can always find the spot and check if the color is there. So again, workshop, now this play tab, oh, wrong screen again. I'm sorry, this is hard to go around with this. So yeah, this play tab is now not found when we are in the workshop, but in the main menu. But if we go to the play tab, now it sees the play button, and it's now it tries to read the quests. And on the very rightmost of the debug screens, we can see it tries to find the quests on the screen, and then it tries to find the individual lines where the quests are, and then it tries to read them. And again, we match against a certain data set that if we can match the text that the computer is trying to read from the image to existing quests in the data set, and then we have the quest data. So we have this automatic quest detection as well. So I can demo it here it in full. So basically, again, let's go to manual mode. You can also manually, obviously, add them to if the auto mode doesn't work or anything. But now we removed all quests. Now we put on the auto mode, and we quickly get the quests selected and to be used on this quest helping feature. I think that's about it mostly on the demo. No, it's not. I won't demo it now, I guess. But there's this one feature I think is pretty cool as well. It's this, because some people only play with one monitor. I need to move my camera for you guys to see this. Let's disable this camera. Just a second. What view am I in? Yes, now it's gone. So on the top right corner there's this connect mobile button, and some people only play with one monitor, so they cannot use this application as is with the second monitor. But you can still use it with this feature. So basically on your computer you start up the game, you alt tab to this application, and then you press this connect button, and you can scan this QR code or add this session ID manually. So basically you take your mobile device and connect to this same session, and then you can use your phone as a second screen to have the same data. The quest helper doesn't live there currently. There's no space, or I haven't implemented it either. But yeah, you can use your phone as a second screen, and it syncs up automatically via webhooks, or not webhooks, but please someone say it, WebSockets. But yeah, that's a pretty cool feature as well, and it works very well. And it also doesn't go through any backend, it just proxies through a service with between your devices. But yeah, those are the features, I guess. So a bit on the technology and the ideas behind this thingy. Let's see if I can again get the Visual Studio up, and maybe I can check some comments as well. Let's see. So I press this. Nope, I press this. Yep. Maybe a bit. No, I cannot get the font any larger. But let me check the comments if there's any questions before we get into the technology. Yeah, relatable. Yep, monitors. Yep. Yeah, you bought the game as well, and we tried it out. Should get some residuals, a slice, a little taste. Yeah, if they change the pop-up window, it will break this tool, obviously. And there's probably some tolerances that will break it already as well in some capacity, like not all features might not work. For example, if you play some ultra wide, but that's pretty easily fixable. I just haven't implemented all resolutions basically, so I don't have the data set to dual resolutions. Currently, I think it only probably works with 1080p and 141 or 1440p. But yeah, the tooltip doesn't have to be exactly sized. So basically, if it just keeps at large, mainly uniform square box, it will work still, or should. But yeah, Juhani, if you want to start to play the game and want this tool to work, I will only need a couple of screenshots to make it work with your resolution as well, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, if the game even supports ultrawide. But about the technology behind the tool, well, there's this motivation and why I built this, but we already handled that. And I hope you guys can read this. I cannot, my bind for English font is not working. What? It works for smaller but not bigger. How do I get it bigger? Font. Oh man, I don't use Visual Studio Code ever. Well, I hope you guys can read that something at least. But yeah, so the frameworks and the platforms used here. The front end is just React JavaScript, and it's hosted in Netlify. Very basic with GitHub integration. So when you push to master, it automatically deploys the new version. If you haven't tried Netlify with GitHub, it's a very nice way to do some lightweight applications. There's some very, lightweight analytics that is done with Umami, so it's non-tracking. You don't need to ask for any cookies or use any cookies. I didn't want to have those on this application, but it uses Umami from some analytics, and the Umami is hosted in Vercel, and it uses Subabase to persist the data. And the WebSocket thingy is done with PartyKit. I really want to find this. Zoom in. Yeah, buddy. Okay. Yeah. So here are the technologies and frameworks or platforms we are using. Comments. Comment troubles. Yeah. No, about anti-cheats, I'm sorry I'm jumping with the presentation, but anti-cheats, the publisher and the developers have explicitly released a statement that no tools are forbidden that don't give you unfair advantages compared to other players. So this tool definitely doesn't do that, and it doesn't use any weird ways to hook into the data. It's just a screen share. So this doesn't trip with antiviruses or anti-cheats, I mean. Not antiviruses either though. About the libraries, how we actually do the things we do. So there's this great library that's been around for a long time, I think, called OpenCV, that is used for different kinds of computer vision stuff. The OCR, the text reading, isn't in OpenCV, but everything else I do is done with OpenCV. So if we again maybe switch to this screen, nope. Oh man, I accidentally closed the application now. Just bear with me. Yep, nope. This screen, and we again start the tool. So if we go again on the debug screen, as you can see on the debug screen, we do a lot of cropping. So we have some input image, which is the game feed, and then we do some very aggressive cropping to cut out the parts of the image that we are interested in. So that is done with OpenCV, so you can very quickly and cheaply cut things up to find some places you are interested in, and then you can do these different matchings. You can try to find certain shapes like squares or circles. Some template matching as well. So, for example, on the menu header that we have here in the second from left on the debug screens, I'm sure you cannot see it that well, but we are trying to look for this. This screen. So on the top side, we have these pill-shaped outlines on the menu that we are currently in. So basically the OpenCV is trying to find in this certain area, it's trying to find this pill-shaped shape. And when it finds it, it tries to look inside it. And if it finds this inventory text, which is done via template matching and not OCR, I think. And if it finds the shape and finds the word inventory inside it, then it knows we are in an inventory. So that's all done with OpenCV. All this shape matching and trying to find the correct places. The same thing is with the play menu thing. So we first find this the three debug screens now on the screen. So we find this rainbow thingy, OpenCV again. We find this play button, OpenCV again. We find where the quests are on the screen, OpenCV again. So basically we do everything with OpenCV, and it's pretty cheap and fast to do with it. But no, wrong screen. No, actually this is the right screen. But basically OpenCV you cannot do, as far as I know, you cannot do the character recognition. So for that we use something else. We use a model called Battle OCR, which is a machine learning neural network thing for text recognition. And it's run with this thing called ONNX runtime web, which is like some WASM implementation, if I'm not incorrect. I'm not so sure about the under the hood things with this one, but basically it uses that model and this runtime to do this, use this neural network model. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but both of these run in the browser locally. So it's that web application you go to, and it runs locally. So none of this data is sent to some server that does the analysis, but it's all on the local server or local browser client. So I think that's a really cool aspect of this project, because it's all done locally. And to mention something about the data sources, because that's always a big problem, or at least a problem you need to solve when you do some integrations like this. Basically, we are trying to integrate some live feed from a game and try to match it to some data, because we need to match it to get some actual analysis on the inventory and stuff like that. So here we use some community APIs that exist. They have some item data, but it's not perfect. So on top of those APIs, we use some crawling on ArcRaider's Wikipedia. And all the quest things are, I think, crawled. There are no APIs that provide the quest data, if I remember correctly. And for this, I built some, you can maybe call them pipelines, but basically manually run scripts that update the data, and then I push to master. You obviously could build pipelines to really keep this up to date, but I haven't at least gotten around to that. And about maybe a couple of choices that I made very early on with this this application. The first one is the all data is handled. Do I need to zoom in one more? I will do it even if no one asks for it, because how can you stop me? Yep. So as I mentioned, all the analytics is done locally. And I think that's really cool because, first of all, this is an application that shares your screen. So what happens if you accidentally click a different screen? Like you need to click the Arcades game that you will share to this application. But what if you click your emails or something like that, your other browser that has your banking application open? So nothing ever gets sent from these images that you share to this application to anywhere else. It's only locally. So that's a trust thing, and also I think it's a cool thing overall. And it also wouldn't be very feasible if you need to send something out and come back with the analytics. It would be too slow anyways. So it's done locally and as fast as possible. And the second choice, the design choice I wanted to do, was to keep this no cookies, no tracking, no fingerprinting, and no logins. That's pretty normal for game tools overall, I think. There's no need for any of this. But it's also always a conscious choice to add cookies or anything else or require loggings or something like that. But I really wanted to keep it approachable, and I think it's overall a good philosophy to try not to track your users if you can not to do it. Maybe very slightly, I can show you, I think it's a pretty cool one, the tracking or analytics that we do is done with Umami, as I mentioned. And as mentioned, it doesn't really track you with any cookies or stuff like that. So I can show you the dashboard for that. It's, as mentioned, it's hosted in Vercel and uses Supabase Postgres for the persistence layer. So if I can just manage to swap to this screen. Yeah, buddy. So, and here I know how to zoom. So this is the Umami instance dashboard. We can see some data when I put it up 14th of January. Not that many visitors or views, but that's fine. I haven't really advertised this anywhere. But this is really cool still. You can see if anyone's uses it. As we can see, it really dwindles down now that I haven't even used it for a couple of weeks because I haven't had the time to play the game. But we still get some, like these aren't me, or not all of them. So it's really cool to see someone else using it. We get some statistics on visitors. It tries to see unique visitors by some fingerprinting that is not actually really fingerprinting. So it doesn't know unique visitors for sure because it's a privacy decision again. But it tries to estimate if you're a new visitor or not. And some visits and views and bounce rates and durations and stuff like that. The duration doesn't work reliably, I think, because I've tried to get some or even had some long sessions, but I've never seen a long session. But it might have something to do with this application being on the second monitor and not actually active, like an active window on Windows. But anyways, you have these statistics and some, I think these are cool as well. You can have events here. So you can have any custom events in your code. You just define basically what do you want to send to this application and when do you want to send it. So for example, we have this item recognized event, which always happens when we try to read the item from the inventory. So when we do successful reads, we send an event. This is more for fun. I don't actually use this for anything, but I thought it was pretty cool. So here we can see all the successful reads from all the events that people have used this tool for. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with this only. You don't really need cookies or stuff to do some cool stuff. And you could even use this to make the service better. So basically, if you are failing to match some items, like you get any errors or you get some readings that don't match to any item, you could also send them here as events. So then I, as a developer, could see this event. So, okay, we are getting this text read of them, and it doesn't seem to match anything. So what's happening there? And yeah, that's pretty cool. And you can do anything here, some manual search stuff and also things like that. Yeah, but that's about Umami, I think. Do I have anything cool to talk about still? Well, I think that's a. Did I handle it, or did I go through anything relevant? Well, I think. Well, yeah, no, those are not technically interesting. But yeah, there's lots of different features as well that are related to the game, like station levels. You can select what upgrades you have. You can select what certain progressions you have, and these selections then, and also the quest selections, they all alter the succession. That's a hard word to pronounce, but they all alter the. I forgot to put my cam back on, by the way. There we go. They all alter the analytics that you see here on the middle of the screen. So if I have done all the quests and have upgraded all the stations that need this item, then it won't tell me to keep it. Then it says you can sell it or you can recycle it and stuff like that. So it's dynamic in a sense, the actual decision tree or the decision engine that makes these recommendations. But yeah, I think that's about it on the application and the demo. Let me check again on the chat. Running locally in a browser is a really good design choice, yeah. Yeah, OCR models are typically lightweight. Yeah, they are pretty lightweight. There were some interesting challenges. First, I tried to use something called the what was it called? I cannot remember, to be honest. Tesseract. Was it Tesseract? Yep, it was Tesseract. I remembered it. Yeah. So at first I tried to use something called Tesseract, and it was more lightweight. Our Tesseract, yeah. But Tesseract. But I think it was slightly faster, maybe, or at least more lightweight. But it got pretty good results. But in this particular game, we have these tiers for these items. So, for example, if we look at the weapons, for example, this Venator 4, it has these tiers 1 to 4. Some have 1 to 3, and these are in Roman numerals. And it was really hard to get these OCR models to get the Roman numerals right. So Tesseract worked very well otherwise, very great results. But I think it's just the training data. You don't have these sentences trained on it where you have some word and a numeral for some reason or another. It just didn't do well with them. So it was really inconsistent getting the correct number. It would say Venator 1 or 2 or 3, or especially when you have these 1, 2, and 3 where you just have these straight lines next to each other. But yeah, then I moved. I even tried to fine tune the Tesseract model. I generated like a 60K image training material from the actual fonts used on the game and tried to replicate the like this grid and stuff like that to train the fine tune the model, but it really didn't provide any better results. Like fine tuning often goes if you try to half-ass them. But then I changed to this Battle OCR with the ONNX runtime, and even that required some quite heavy fine tuning. But at some point I've for some reason got it working with some luck. And what else did we have here? The locality is also a great reminder about the pace of which this kind of tech is evolving. These things would not be possible 5 years ago. Yeah, I mean, when I first started this project, I actually was thinking, or even started it, even got it to working. It was actually a bit more comprehensive, but first did a Python program because Python is the place to be when you do computer vision stuff. So I first started with the Python program, but then I started thinking that people don't want to use any native programs to do this, or they would rather use a web application. So then I looked into, can I do this in a browser? And I was surprised to find that you can do OpenCV and you can do OCR locally on your client-side browser. So that was pretty crazy, to be honest. But yeah, the Python one definitely could have been even crazier because I couldn't do in the browser that you could look all these images of the items we have here. So basically you have this grid view of the images. And on the Python version, I had an image recognition model that would see all these items and see what items they were. And instead of just reading the tooltip and giving information on one item at a time, you could see all the items and maybe provide some better advice that from these items you can sell these, or maybe even gather some larger data set if you scroll down the whole your inventory or stuff like that. It could have been pretty cool. But yeah, the browser model is more simplistic one, but also more approachable, and I still think very usable for what we need for this tool. It gives you information. Do you need to keep this item for quests or upgrades or not? And that's the basics of it. And everything else is just extra twinkle on it. But yeah, I think I'm way over my time already or something like that. So I think I'm gonna switch back to this great view of myself. And does anyone have any more questions, comments, and stuff like that? Yeah, I think reading the tooltip it's a great use case. I think reading the whole grid might have been overkill anyways, even though it was pretty fun to do that as well. But yeah.
Thank you, Eetu. Anybody has any questions they want to ask using microphone and camera, or in the chat if you are shy guy, a common guy?
I rambled on so long, so nobody has any questions left, I think.
It was very, very interesting and inspiring, and I feel like a lot of games would definitely benefit from that kind of tool. Thinking something like, well, Satisfactory game has it has an inside index or lexicon or something that tells what item does what, but others, that kind of game, crafting games especially, and games with lots of loot, would help to keep that kind of tool available. So
yeah, and that's a model you could easily copy to other games as well. So
yeah,
why not?
So next expansion of the idea is to build a framework for expansions to other games.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. I can see that taking over very many games. There are very many games, and for players like me who are pack rats and spend most of their multiplayer games by looting. I remember we played with two of my friends. We played Call of Duty Warzone, and they were already moving in the center of the ring that keeps getting smaller, and I was still at the edge looting the boxes. start yelling them through the microphone. Where are you? We are already over here. And I always left behind to keep looking at the treasure chests and nooks and crannies. So that kind of tool would be very helpful to easily and fast see what can you do, what can you craft with those things. And the technology you explained is very interesting. And in the DevCafe website is a GitHub link, I think. And if you have it available, throw it in the chat here so people can go snoop around.
Yeah, it currently isn't open source, but I just haven't gotten around to changing it. But I will change it after when we end here. So anyone go look at the code.
Yeah, we students salute you for that.
Yeah, and also maybe a quick mention. I totally forgot about even touch on it, and no one asked. But I first started building it the traditional way by building or pressing buttons myself. And at some point on the development cycle, I wanted to try out Cloud Code for the first time, and I got the Cloud Code Max subscription for it. And I've been many of the features are fully built, or like the Quest thing is all fully built with Cloud Code and stuff like that. And it's been doing really great. So especially when I added tests for the screen reading, so I have a lot of screenshots, and I know what data we need to get out of these screenshots. And when I added tests for those, the cloud was very good at getting the results out of them. So definitely good use case for agents as well. At least it's a pretty limited scope still, so it worked really well.
Yeah, agentic coding is great when you know what the code is. So you can debug if something isn't working, and you can understand what is happening inside the code. I tried to vibe code a game, and it ended up pretty messed up. I look at the files, and there's like just a hashtag, and this function does that, and nothing inside. It returns nothing, and obviously anything doesn't work. So when you have like a specific thing, a small specific thing that the coding can help you, if you have the idea and the structure in your head and you understand what you're doing, then it can help. I don't think it's not that great of a shortcut if you don't know where you're going. If you can say it that way.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned this also as a release of responsibility when I open source this, because there's a lot of code I actually haven't read because it's just a hobby code and I code for a living, so I haven't really been that interested to review everything. But what I do a lot is, Postari mentioned last time, the plan mode. I really plan a lot and also steer it, because it really does get up to some really weird stuff at times, but you can spot those in the plan mode and you can steer it. Like, I think this strategy is better here, and then it does really well, especially with tests. Tests are really key, I think, with these agents. But yeah, if anyone goes to look at the code, remember it's agent code, not probably production grade code.
Yeah, you can still learn something from it. And I just thought about while you were speaking that maybe I could speak something about how you could use agentic coding and AI code helping to learn coding instead of it just doing what you want. So actually learn. There are ways to do that. And now that you open source that, you might be getting the current disease that's plaguing the game engines like Godot and Unreal and Unity, that they get AI pull requests. A lot of AI pull requests. People don't know what their pull requests in AIs do that, and there's so many that they're drowning in pull requests, and feel like it's very demoralizing to scour over all of that rubbish, AI rubbish, instead of actually open source communal building that code ahead, fixing bugs. And so I don't know if maybe there wasn't a commentator here, but I've lost the plot now. I just feel inspired by what you told, and that tool. It's very, very cool. And if nobody has any questions at this time, does anyone have a question? You can pick up your mic and huff and puff into it until the buildings come down, or we can end up. It's 1941 now. Does anybody have any questions? Probably not. Thank you, Eetu, for coming and telling us about the ArcLens